Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke with Reverend Yutaka Yamada, today being 18th of October or the 13th of September in the 9th year of Chongalguk. Let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chariot. Jumbe. Paro. And let's recite our family pledge in both Korean and English. Thank you.
가족만세 1. 천일국 주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 본연 땅을 찾아 본연의 창조 이사인 지산 천국과 천산 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 1. Our family, the owner of Chongalguk, pledges to seek our original homeland and build the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, the original ideal of creation, by centering on true love. Thank you. I'd like to ask Catherine in New Zealand if she could offer the opening prayer, please.
Good morning, our most beloved Heavenly Parents. Good morning, our beloved True Parents. Good morning, Jesus and the saints and sages of history. We really thank you so much for your loving hearts, the guidance that you give us each day. This is such a tremendous age that we're living in. We have True Father in the spirit world, True Mother here on earth. And there's so much to achieve at this time. We want to really relieve her aching heart, and we want to help her in whatever way we possibly can to become the world that you envisaged in the first place, Heavenly Parents. We're really grateful for this time that we can come together, the whole of the people from all Oceania, Heavenly Father, coming together, people that we've never met before. We come to know and understand their hearts through the morning hundoke. We can understand the courses they've been going through and how that we can become this one true family under you, Heavenly Parents. I'm really grateful for Reverend Yamada taking this time to make the hundoke so interesting, bringing in all sorts of different things that can really broaden our hearts and broaden our minds so that we can see things from different perspectives and different angles. We thank you for this. We thank you for one another. And we ask you to please be here with us today as we share this time together, and that we can grow our hearts so that we can become one true family under you, our Heavenly Parent. Thank you for this time, and I offer it to you with our heart and gratitude always. So pray in True Parents' blessed and holy names. Adieu.
Adieu. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's offer a warm welcome to Reverend Yamada as he shares this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, our brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining Morning Hundoke. Today is Monday morning, really bright day and bright week and bright month. Let's offer our sincere devotion and prayer to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents, our True Mother, and all leaders and blessed family and the spiritual world in our nation and our region of Oceania, and also the world. So we really appreciate, we're grateful to have time together with you. So last Saturday, we had a Think Tank 2022 forum. How was that? Maybe, I hope you joined the Think Tank 2022. So we could see the best host speaker, keynote speaker was Honorable Mike Pompeo. So his speech was really great and support. He is one of the key political leader in American political activities, and also he will surely lead the society of America and also the world now and also the future. So those person receiving the accepting the request of our two parents and to join our think tank 22, cooperate and support unification between North and South Korea. So this is really great things. And he is, as the Christian, really believe God. And he said, we have to believe God together with God. This is also a big hope. So when we see the future providence, really he is becoming one of the key person. Not only our movement, together with our movement with True Mother, and also the world level, how to guide the nation and the world. So political society, of course, we don't know what's happened in the future, but in the same time, heavenly providence, we don't know how heavenly providence is going or connecting all situation. That's why in our nation, when we meet the people, when we do our providence in each area, we also try to find and seek the message from God and to prepare, offer Johnson, and to connect everything. Those attitude is really important. Then even we never imagine, but the person who we met is becoming the key person to connect for the next providence. So last Saturday, I think Tank 2022 was very good. So actually there was broadcasting Think Tank 22 first, but in the same time, there was also second Think Tank 2022. So maybe next month, we could see the second Think Tank 2022. So yesterday, as a Sunday, we listened the testimony from Daniel. How was Daniel's testimony? So his really testimony, life testimony, directly really facing challenging because of COVID, and also he had realized many things. So yesterday testimony was really precious, especially this COVID. Not only himself, even all family member became COVID. So this COVID sickness is not depends on the age or depends on the people. Even you are rich person, you are a higher position, or you are any kind of person, but if COVID really infected your life, regardless of any situation, we will be facing really the line of life and death. That's why when people became sick, people start to think, how about my life? How about my satisfaction? Or how about our meaning of life? It was good? There is a satisfy? Or how about future? What kind of things happen? So the things I felt yesterday when I heard from the Daniel's sharing is that he said when became that COVID, he lose all desire. And also he imagined how about the person who are living in the concentrated camp in North Korea or under the war or challenging situation who are going to be die. And also he said he started to think what kind of work for God he offered. So this kind of matter of life, who can really assure, or who can really say or confirm your kind of what do you say? Who can really promise your life or take responsibility over your life itself? Even, of course, as our responsibility, we have to take care of our health, doing exercise, take care of our health matters. We need our portion of responsibility to take care of ourselves. But when the time when we will go to the spiritual world, these things, even we do our effort, we cannot decide myself or ourselves. That's why when we spend the time when we live in this world, we should think about spiritual world, and we have to prepare for the next world. This is really important, and this is really essential. Now, through the Fundokkei, also thank you, our Daniel, to share yesterday. So now, our Fundokkei, we are leading the message about true family and I. This message to the parents visited to the world and to give the speech. So in this speech, Father continuously mentioned to see yourself. We are going to evil side, or we are going to God's side. And how about the conscience, voice of conscience? What voice of conscience is talking? And yes, that time the Mr. Arai's sharing was also good. His leader said to him, you have three fallen nature, right? You have three fallen nature. Then how was his attitude? He accepted sincerely this voice. He reflect and he realized, no, not three. I have 11 fallen nature. So I think this attitude is really good. People easy to some oppose or really some kind of excuse or attack. But his case, if leader say, and not only three, 11 fallen nature, and reflecting on oneself and really realize and deeply repent. So those attitudes really important things, this humble heart and reflect yourself, right? So when we see the society, there are many kinds of problems. When we see the world, also many kind of some problem we could see. But also when we see within ourselves, there are many kind of fallen nature and many kind of lacking point. When we see, when we reflect myself, because there are so many lacking point, the fallen nature and the point which I don't like. That's why when we recognize the fallen nature, what do you feel? Do you want to show? Do you want to see? Do you want to accept that fallen nature which we have? Or when we see also there are many kind of sin or many kind of problem which we committed before. The problem of love, problem of money, problem to hurt the people. When we find our fallen nature within ourselves, how about our attitude? Do we try to justify? Do we try to avoid the matter which we have? That's why Father is mentioning to listen the voice of conscience. This voice is actually voice of God. So we have to communicate and reflect through our original heart. Another person cannot see your heart, cannot see your conscience. That's why even we try to hide, nobody can recognize. But ourselves, myself, yourself could recognize and cannot avoid the things. So if there is some mistake, if there is some sin, if there is some fallen nature problem, we have to accept that. We have to pray that, and we have to repent for that. Without doing so, even we can hide in the physical world, but when we go to the spiritual world, this becomes the big problem. So now we are reading the true family and I, and Father also mentioning about the story of Adam and Eve, original mind and evil mind. And last time Reverend John also commented, how was the situation of Adam and Eve when they fell, right? The relationship with Lucifer. So really that time when true Father gave the speech in 1990, one of the main providence, of course centering on South America, but one of the main providence was to liberate the spiritual world. So true parents gave the special mission to the leader and to seek and to find the reality of spiritual world. Do you remember that the old message? So that time, True Parents gave the special mission to Reverend Sang-hon Lee to send to a spiritual world and to let him report the old spiritual world situation. So I found this book again, and today I want to share this message. Message from the spirit world, Dr. Sang-hon Lee. So have you read this book? You can find tparents.org. So there is this book also. And this time period, providential time period, it was 1990, 1995 or 1998. So around that time, the main providential focus was to liberate spiritual world and liberate including Archangel Lucifer. That's why 1995, 1997, so the time when those message was reported was before the completed liberation of spiritual world. That's why maybe some situation was already changed, already liberated compared with 1990 and now 2020. But we can study and also we can learn or feel that. So I want to share this one. I could not share everything because this message also too long. So I pick up some message and also some story. Okay, so I will read this. This is when Dr. Sang-hon Lee went to spiritual world and he sent this message to our members from spiritual world. So I want to read this. Do you know the Sang-hon Lee? He was one of the famous leader among the 36 couple. So I will read this. To beloved members of the Unification Church, I'd like to offer this letter to our beloved members. Dear members, what shall I write first? Nobody can escape the spiritual world. It is the way of heavenly law, which everybody has to go. I am very missing our members of Unification Church since I came to this spiritual world. I am really concerned about how to make all members not violate heavenly law in the physical world so that they would be able to pass the spiritual world. Once you violate the law of the spiritual world, you cannot solve it easily, and you have to pay the price of indemnity through a suffering life in the spiritual world. Beloved members of the Unification Church, how hard time have you had so far? I wish that when you come to this eternal world, you can have happy lives. I wish that you would not try to escape the momentary hard time. If you are doing so, you will get the eternal lives. If you violate heavenly law, your descendants have to pay indemnity instead of you. When true parents put in order the spiritual world, your wrong behavior would make true parents' heart painful. Dear members of the Unification Church, my name is Sang-hon Lee, who wrote Unification Thought. I am going to send you what I surveyed in the spiritual world. Please read it carefully and make your earthly lives successfully. By doing so, let's console the painful heart of true parents and pray that true parents may have long lives. Please read my message very carefully. You should check your daily lives every day by true parents' speech. This is my advice as your senior member to help you to fulfill your responsibility successfully on earth. May God bless all of you. August 21st, 1997 from Sang-hon. So this message in 1997. So that time, just the beginning of champion providence to liberate ancestor. Now we feel ancestor liberation is normal or easy, right? But that moment, even 7 generation, liberate to 7 generation ancestor was really tough. Temonim, to parents, really offer sincere devotion and chanson. And our member also same in order to liberate 7 generation. Really too difficult that moment. But because of the victorious foundation of true parents, already fulfilled until 210 generation in the foundation day, and now 430 generation. So now we feel this is normal, right? Mother is emphasized, mother again emphasized 430 generation liberation. And again, talking about Chombo family, we felt now these things is kind of the simple or easier, but all the moment, really true parents created and made a foundation one by one or step by step, even matter of spiritual world. These things was not happened simply. Maybe our new generation, second generation, never think that those process or challenging period maybe already some normal to liberate 430 couple or so 430 generation. When we talk to maybe leader or new member, maybe they feel, okay, we have to take responsible, we have to liberate 430 generation. Maybe they think simply, but that time, 1990, in order to liberate hell, liberate heaven, liberate the middle spiritual world, or even us or ancestor, it was a really tough time. That's why true parents sent to Funjinim and sent to Temunim and even sent to Sanghongri to try to change the spiritual world. That's why even we could see some kind of the changing or benefit a lot, but the reality of the spiritual world and the need, the necessity, the preparation to going to the spiritual world is same. How about our attitude? How about our preparation? These things is not changing from before, now and the future. That's why those message and to think and prepare for the spiritual life is really important things for us. So this is the message from Sanghongli, greeting message. Spiritual world. Even though the spiritual world seems to be the same as the visible phenomenal world, the scale of the spiritual world cannot be compared with the one of the physical world. For instance, in the phenomenal world, a car is limited in the space, but in spiritual world, a car can be changed to various types. Its direction is also free. It can pass through the mountain at the moment and can move as a driver thinking. It can move freely like doing in fantasy movies or mysterious universe travel, which children like very much. When the reporter asked if there is a car accident, he said, even though they look like disorder, because they are keeping the law so lawfully, there are no car accidents at all. So anyway, when you read his message, very interesting. He's sharing some kind of really humanistic way to observe the spiritual world. So when he visited to heaven, when he visited to hell, and he met also many figures which he want to see and he want to interview. So we could see many stories. The concept of heaven and hell. In heaven, there is no way to worry or have any anxiety at all, because you are living and going as one lump mass of love perfectly fitted. Hell is the place where you spin around on the edge of discomfort, worry, anxiety, and conflict, because you live in a world where you cannot know anything about love. In summation, hell is the place alienated from love, and heaven is the holy, perfect sincerity of love. Simply speaking, heaven is the place where there is nothing that doesn't have love, and hell is the place where there is not one iota of love. So it is possible for fruit of love to bud and sprout and bring about the liberation of hell. So when you read this message, he really described more detail about hell and also about heaven. He also mentioned some story, one woman who tried to hide their sexual organ by towel, but another person came to remove the woman's towel and also try to destroy. And another person also come to blame and fight, attacking. So those really realistic story he was sharing and mentioning. And also the another part, he is mentioning about our unification member and the unification spiritual world. And 36 couple, they are the highest rank in the spiritual world. That's why they are staying, living together with God in the highest position, more open position. But in the same time, the sin which they committed, they cannot hide this sin. That's why they are living the highest position, beautiful kingdom of heaven, but in the same time, those sins are appearing through him, what he committed, the matter, sexual relationship with another woman, and using the public money and hurting the people. So those things is appearing. So that's why I cannot share, but when you read, you could also understand the situation in the spiritual world. And I want to share the story of Adam, and I want to share the story of Eve. So Sang-Hoon Lee also interviewed and visited many people about Jesus and about John the Baptist, about Mary, and also Judas Iscariot, Kim Il-sung, or many people, right? You remember? This is really interesting. So I will share about story of Adam. He reported this August 14, 1997. Adam, the first human ancestor and the first grandfather, is a handsome-looking man with a warm personality and always made us feel comfortable. I was curious on what level of spirit world he was living. If I say all of the details, it will take too much time, and I will be sorry for Mrs. Lee. So Mrs. Lee is the person who received this message in his physical world. Adam remained too distant from God to appear before him. However, since his indemnity period is finished, he is now living in a good spirit world which is close to God. Adam is always afraid of coming before God, being cautious. So because of two parents' victorious achievement, he was liberated. Adam says that his life in that realm of spirit world is a lot better than that of the Garden of Eden. Things are abundant and he can meet with many people. When he was living in the Garden of Eden, he was lonely and fearful to face God. According to Adam, he did not know that he was supposed to make Eve happy. He just thought that he was to stay with Eve in the Garden of Eden. In other words, he was not mature enough to relate to Eve as a man. He was not old enough for him to realize that Eve was to be his wife. When things went wrong with Eve, he finally realized it, but it was too late for him to do anything about it. Since Adam failed to fulfill his responsibility as the first human ancestor, he suffered a lot, working hard for many thousands of years, and therefore, as a sinner, he felt incredible guilt before God. Although he is now living near God, he still is always cautious before him. So this is story about Adam. So how was Adam's situation? Adam was just maybe young age, around teenager, right? So that time he faced this situation and he could not handle well, and he committed sin. So when he was realized later, already he was late. Then how was his situation? He should see all his descendants who are suffering because of him. That's why when he saw his descendants who are suffering because of him, how he was suffering also, how much he felt guilty, and he really tried to repent, tried to indemnity, but he could not do anything. That much, how much this situation was really difficult. So he is sharing those things. So next is Eve. This little bit long, but I will read this. This was reported August 1997. Eve. It may sound too harsh to say that Eve is the greatest sinner in human history, but it is true that she committed truly a serious mistake. Eve is now living with Adam near God. She is always warm-looking and thoughtful, but also quite stubborn. To me, her face is not the most beautiful one, but she is very good-looking. Whenever I try to speak to her closely, she always turned her face away. When I had another chance to see her, she again turned her face away from me, or bent her head down so that she would not have an eye contact with me. Therefore, it took time for me to have an opportunity to talk to her. As we were conversing with each other, when she discovered that I, Sang Hong Lee, was close to God, she attempted to have an open and honest dialogue with me. She started by saying, "It may not be necessary for me to talk about my fault in the past, but I would like to be honest with you. Adam and I always lived close to each other, eating together, sleeping together, etc. We were so young at that time, and we did not know that we should become husband and wife. Adam always liked to have fun, running here and there. I also like to play, but I prefer to stay in a quiet place, spending time with the creation. Although Adam and I had some time together, since we were both busy playing separately, we did not have chance to express our love for each other as a man and woman. The being that actually opened my eyes to the opposite sex was Lucifer. Lucifer was always with me. He was always kind and willing to teach me everything. Sometimes he would bring things that I'd like to eat. In the meantime, through Lucifer, I developed a feeling towards the opposite sex. Lucifer also came to fall in love with me. At the time, my relationship with Lucifer came to fruition. Adam began to notice it, but Adam did not interfere in our relationship, nor did he express his love for me. He just left me alone. Then my love for Lucifer became more passionate, and Lucifer let me well. I just could not let go of Lucifer. This lasted for quite some time. Lucifer was scared, and so was I. Yet, whenever Adam saw me, he ran away from me. After a while, I began to realize that my deeds were wrong. One day, God struck us with a terrible reproach. He said that we were no longer qualified to be with him. Then I looked for Adam with a sincere heart. I desperately clung to him, appealing to him to help me. Afterwards, as was taught by Lucifer, we slept together. When I had a sexual relationship with Adam, I could not feel the same passion for Adam as I felt towards Lucifer. I came to miss Lucifer more and more. Strangely, Adam and I felt distance to each other. Whenever Lucifer glanced at me and tempted me, he was irresistible. Eventually, I was drawn to the bosom of Lucifer and could satisfy my physically burning desires through him. As time passed by, I could not avoid God's eyes on me. I was scared of his anger towards me. Then I went to Adam, although I had no physical relationship with him. Strangely enough, I felt a sort of peace without realizing the reason why. Whenever I went near Lucifer, I was captured by an intolerable fear. As time passed, I came to realize that what I did with Lucifer was wrong and felt more guilty towards Adam. Adam comforted me, but my heart was always tormented. That has been the story of my life. I felt sorry for Adam, and I am a terrible sinner who cannot even ask for forgiveness and salvation from God. As the indemnity period is over, I am elevated to this place, but I am the worst sinner. So this is the message from Eve. So Sang-hong said, I wondered why God called such a sinner, Eve, so quickly to be near him. When considering Adam and Eve are the unforgivable sinners as the first human ancestors and the ones who caused the greatest pain to God, I was curious how they could be in this spiritual realm. As human history flows, the day of joy when the hell is liberated should arrive as soon as possible. Otherwise, humans in physical bodies cannot be liberated from the pain and suffering on earth. Now, since an indemnity condition was set on their behalf, Adam's family is finally liberated. Through the liberation of Adam's family, a foundation for all sins and crimes to be forgiven is also established. Someday, the gate to hell will be wide open and an eternal day of liberation will come. So this is message of Sang-hong Lee. So how was this? So how was Adam and Eve in that moment? What did they think? And how do they live in the spiritual world? That's why knowing the spiritual world, knowing the existence of spiritual world is important. Because of Adam and Eve's fall, this remained the painful things to God's heart. And from that moment, all human beings went through the suffering and sad life. And God himself also faced a lot of pain and also sadness if they didn't commit sin. Maybe those people or descendants painful might not have happened. And maybe already we could see the great ideal world in this society and nation. But what do you think? Then just we complain, just we should blame to Adam and to Eve and ancestor? Actually, we are as the descendants. We are also doing the similar mistake and giving the similar things and similar pain to our heavenly parents. That's why we are also standing the result of the history. So Adam's problem is actually my problem. Eve's problem is also our problem. And also our ancestors, central figure. And the problem is the world is actually also our problem. True parents is showing the way to carry on all problem as own problem and to solve that. So when true parents giving the message, this true family and I talking about world peace and family peace, but the Father is asking us, even there is a peace in the world, even there is peace in the family, how can you find the peace inside of yourself? This is really important. When we meet God, when we meet true parents, what kind of attitude our heavenly parents wish? when we meet the God, should we say, I have many problems because my ancestor, because of my first Adam and Eve, because of their failures, my life is miserable. Myself have many problems. Do we say like this? Or instead of that, my ancestor had committed sin. They had many mistakes maybe, but I am the one who take responsibility that. I will carry on and I will give happiness more than before. And I will comfort you. I will show the vision to you. That's why God, Heavenly Parents, don't worry about me. True Father, I am the one who totally support with True Mother, totally unite, and I am the one who fulfill your vision and dream which you could not fulfill. Which attitude we should have. That's why now we are reading the God's word, and also Fundoke, through receiving the message, reading the message, we once again feel and find the God's wish and will, and we are the one who go forward as the representative, as a half of human beings, and as the result of our ancestor. So today, I share about the message of spiritual world, and especially Sanghong Lee. We really think again about spiritual world. Really think again about the meaning of earthly life, and we will prepare for the future. So today also, I appreciate all brothers and sisters to join our Fundoke. Thank you for joining, and let's have a great time. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you, Reverend Yutaka. Thank you for, wow, really helping us, with looking at the spirit world messages again. I remember reading them, and the first time they came out and being so amazed by their depth and understanding and how real it was, the spiritual experiences, and just you rereading those, the expression of words really brings to life the feeling within the spiritual world, and how we really need to prepare ourselves. And when you're reading about Adam and Eve and some of their experiences at that time, there's a couple of things that stood out. How they felt alone in the garden. That really is quite a powerful thing. They're both there, and as clearly they were children, and clearly they were needing guidance, and like they are expressing like, oh, I didn't realize this, or I didn't realize this. And I was thinking to myself, well, how were they receiving education? Or in fact, they were not receiving education. At what point did the angels stop educating them? Really, and at what point did the angels influence each other to do other things? Because just listening to that thing, that God created a garden, and yes, God was alone, and that's why he created everything, so he could have a family, and that was his heart and motivation. But he knew what he was doing, and then he created the garden. There's Adam and Eve, and yet they are feeling alone. They don't realize they are living together, and and playing together, and yet they didn't recognize each other. And I'm thinking, well, where was this education coming from? And I realized, that we know that the spirit world was created as ministering spirits, to help and guide us. So why wasn't the guidance there? What was blocking that? At what point did Lucifer, he said he fell in love with Eve. At what point did that really happen? How young were they? And obviously that influenced the way that he educated them. Like today you see these people who groom kids to follow a certain path because their ulterior motive is to take from them. And so at what point did, it seems like to me very early on, even when they were, pre-teens, that they were groomed not the way that God wanted, because they were ignorant of each other. And then, the other overwhelming thing that came to my mind was that first love is so precious, because once that first love is entered into, then everything else becomes second best. When Eve, went to Adam after having her relationship with Lucifer, she compared it. She didn't feel the same. She still wanted Lucifer. And so that first love is so precious to keep. And, of course, it reminds me of my, upbringing and relationships, or lack of relationships, and ignorance. It's like my life is repeating the same things, that Adam and Eve were going through, and very ignorant of that. And and so precious to keep that first love. It's so easy once that first love is broken, that you start to compare every other relationship on that first experience, because the first taste of something new is the thing that brings your mind in active. And so those things makes me want to reread all the spirit world messages again, and to connect, because and God didn't intervene. He was kept out of the picture. Mostly because they were afraid, and even still, they're afraid of God. And I don't get it, that they don't get that God wants to love them, and how that guilt is so pervasive, that even though they are closer to God, and even though they're living together, and even though they seem to realize more, they still seem to be stuck in that unresolved issue of guilt within themselves. It's like they can be warm to others, but they can't love themselves to free themselves from their own guilt. So there's lots of things that I see in that we need to reassess in our own lives, and help us be stronger, so we know how to educate others about the reality of that first love, and how to really protect it. So just some thoughts about that. So thank you, everyone, and open up to others to share. Thank you. Yes, Greg, go ahead.
I don't know, some of you will know, but those revelations were done in Sydney. Or the books, we see in the front of the book that it says Mrs. Youngsoon Kim. I don't know why it was referred to as Mrs. Lee, but anyway, Mrs. Youngsoon Kim was the spiritual medium, and she was living here in Bankstown. She was with the Krogonek family. So the two families were living together as she was receiving those revelations. So it happened in Sydney. Most of those receiving those messages. Anyway, point of history.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Reiko, go ahead.
Just adds to your comment about Lucifer educating Adam and Eve. I just felt that Adam is saying in the Garden of Eden, Adam felt God like fearful, the why he got a parent and child, and why he couldn't feel God's love, as a parent. So I just felt that the way Lucifer teach God's love towards them could have some, couldn't share God's love. Anyway, just thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Rai, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Dr. Sanfon Lee is a scientist, and he said he can deal with any kind of question except the spiritual world. Then he done 40 days fasting. Then he had spiritual experience. Then he said that before he go to spiritual world, I got a new mission. But also he tried to complete unification spiritual world ideology, but he could not. And then he is an incredible humble person, like a Greg Stone. Really, then he had a really so deep relationship with Mrs. Kim, and so trusting, so deep, for trusting. Then when Dr. Lee had a Sungma ceremony, the Mrs. Kim attended. That night, already Dr. Lee appeared to Mrs. Kim. Then Mrs. Kim was surprised. Same day, it's Sungma, and I like to, for report to you through you. Then Mrs. Kim said, "Oh, I have a plan to go to Australia." Then after I arrive Australia, could you come? Then, as Greg mentioned, she came to Australia. Then she forgot it about Dr. Lee, but after suddenly Dr. Lee come to Australia. Then Mrs. Kim said, "Oh, spiritual world, they can come to direct to Australia." And she's surprised. Then I think she started listen all of liberation from Dr. Lee. But why she can do it is incredible artistic relationship, trust each other. That's why if we go to spiritual world, if we don't have a artistic relationship to other, maybe cannot do. That's why we have to be careful. We have really artistic relationship to whom or how we live. That is one of the challenge. And I think Greg and Rick-san can talk with you, permanently, I think. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. Thank you, everyone. Actually, that time for us to have our unison prayer. I'm sure there's many things we can think about and get ready for tomorrow, because I'm sure we can continue. So I'll just share the screen. So let's begin. Arju, Arju, Arju. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
God bless everyone.
Good to see the little children.
Mhm.